Hello and welcome to yet another episode of SoFly. It is May 15th, middle of May, and we're back recording yet another episode. Although, how's it going?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you doing?
Very good. Very good. Almost too good, suspiciously.
Oh,
Whoa, reel it
suspicious Aloysius. Oh my god, a third voice. Who's that?
It's
Hi,
me.
Itis.
Hi. How's it going?
Idis is here on the show.
Indeed, I am.
And my name is Mitch, and we're back recording another podcast episode for your listening pleasure. What are you drinking? Although I
Me?
see some survival packs in the background there, and it's getting me all fired up.
Oh my god. I've decided now that we've started our summer of Muskoka Brewery. Of course, they've signed on as a supporter of the show for the summer again, which is amazing. There's survival packs, which of course is their summer mixer pack with a whole whack of amazing beers. But every episode I'm gonna drink a different one. Last time I drank the margarita one, margarita
Ooh,
Goza,
you
which
love a
was
marg.
really good. And of course, our last episode was the launch party of said survival pack with Jim Baird and his Windbound smoked pilsner.
Oh, yeah.
So now we're going to move on to one of our, I think all of our faves, which is the Tread Lightly, which is a light lager by the Muskoka Brewery here in here in Ontario.
There you go.
Light, crisp, refreshing, which is great because it's 20 degrees Celsius outside, 70 degrees for you Fahrenheiters, and man, the heat. Not that
it's been
that's
warm.
very hot, but
Makes you
comparatively,
thirsty.
It's getting warmer after a long, gray, cold, crappy winter, and thank gosh, because summer's awesome, and with summer comes trout, fishing, and all kinds of fun on the water, which might be a good segue into what we're talking about today, which is a fun little concoction.
Yeah, Mitch, you cooked up a fun little idea.
Yeah, so we have today for you a little bit of a variety show. It's just going to be us, which it's been a little while since it's been just us. We asked ChatGPT to come up with a show idea for us, an outline, if you will, which we've used ChatGPT once before on the show, which was for trivia questions during the annual holiday show, and they weren't great.
It was fun, though.
It was fun, though.
It was
It got
fun.
a little unhinged, but it was pretty fun.
Unhinged. Yeah. So we'll see how it fares today. We've, of course, skimmed the outline, but we're going to put it to the test with an actual hour-long, podcast. But
So basically, ChatGPT produced this show.
yeah, this is
Bam.
produced by
Or wrote
ChatGPT.
it anyway. Yeah.
So we'll see, if it how it goes from the computer. But before we get into the main part of the show, why don't we start with some community updates?
Yeah, I think, Mitch, I'm just going to hammer down on our own events because I'm self-centered. May 29th, we are co-hosting, the Scale of Change Tour. We're co-hosting that with Drift Outfitters, our pals at Hook A, and the Atlantic Salmon Federation. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, what is the Scale of Change film tour? Well, the Scale of Change is you can learn all about it at sofly.ca/events because there's kind of a lot to it, but it's basically an initiative that Hook A and that Fred Campbell of Hook A really spearheaded with the Atlantic Salmon Federation. And it's a film and it is an initiative to bring light to the plight of the Atlantic salmon here in Canada and around the world. Fred's been seeing nothing but diminishing stocks in his home province of Quebec and diminishing returns of Atlantic salmon. And, he has kids and he would love it if his kids and our kids and other people's kids and generations of people is what I'm getting at. I got to get away from this kids thing. Generations of people to fish for Atlantic salmon and enjoy Atlantic salmon and have Atlantic salmon swimming in our rivers and our ecosystems. And it would be a shame to lose such a special, iconic species. And so this film documentary highlights how individual actions like coming to the Scale of Change tour, no matter how small, it can lead to monumental transformations for
a drop in the bucket
efforts.
Yeah, all these drops in the bucket, maybe the bucket of good will fill.
Yeah, so it is a ticketed event, but the money's all going to the Atlantic Salmon Federation and the Scale of Change, and to help raise things. We're gonna be there. We're premiering a small piece on Matt Martin with our buddy Mitch Beaumile from North Country Media House. He put the piece together. We kind of helped produce it and connect some dots there. So that's pretty cool. But Mitch did the heavy lifting, so I just want to give a lot of credit to Mitch. Obviously, the team from Drift will be there. We'll be raffling off prizes.
Yeah.
We're gonna be drinking delicious beers.
Yeah.
We're gonna be eating delicious foods.
Yeah, it's gonna be smashing, Basil.
And we're going to learn a little bit about Atlantic salmon fishing too, and how you can kind of do it on the DIY. If you've never been, I would highly recommend because, well, it's a transformative experience. I would argue, even if you don't catch anything, because you see them. I mean, Mitch, you've been to Atlantic Salmon River in Scotland. You're surrounded by them, whether you catch one or not. You're in their presence, and that's really, really cool.
Yeah, for real.
But that's really it. May 20th, that's May 29th. Doors are at 6 p.m. 40 Hannah Avenue in Liberty Village here in Toronto. Scale of Change Tour, Left Field Brewery, Drift, us, okay, Atlantic Salmon Federation.
There you go.
Boom.
And that's really just it, baby. I mean, this Saturday, Idis and I will be on the Grand with BGOW, teaching folks how to fly fish for the first time.
So
that'll be really cool. And actually, our buddy DJ Dopey might be helping us out too.
What?
Oh, sick.
Yeah, he volunteered to his time, and which is that'll be really fun to have him along because obviously more hands make light work, and it means for more almost one-on-one time with the students because there's 8 students. 8 students, 4 instructors. That's a good ratio.
Pretty good. That's a good ratio.
And so everybody knows I don't hate teaching new people how to fish. I love teaching people how to fish. I'm away on a work shoot, so I'm not going.
But where?
I'm not just trying to be a bummer. Florida.
But where in Florida?
The Florida Keys.
You're gonna be in Isla Mirada during you're getting close to the peak tarpon time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you're working, but if you can sneak away for a little,
I'm gonna bring a rod and reel and fly set up so that I can maybe go and see if I can make a few shots down at the dock lights at night. Maybe there
you go. Come on.
Maybe I'll even just see pods of tarpon, schools of tarpon.
Maybe you could ride one.
It'd be weird if you didn't.
Imagine not one tarpon. It's like, wow, that's crazy.
It'd be weird if you didn't.
So yeah, that'll be a fun day though.
If you do have some spare time as well, and maybe not fishing, but the Florida Keys Outfitters, is in Isla Mirada, and it is an incredible fly shop.
Bring us some
it's in Isla Mirada. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Isla Mirada is not big.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's
probably about as big as Liberty Village, where Scale of Change is going to be May 29th, 40 Hannah Avenue.
Holy
that was quite the callback. Beautiful. Okay, well, let's get into the main part of the show. Why don't we?
ChatGPT presents SoFly.
Right after these words. And if you're watching on YouTube, there are no words. We're just going to jump right into it. And I might even not edit out that pause, just for a little bit of fun.
We're just staring at each other.
About it.
Well, here we are. We are recording The Fly Box, Tales, Tips, and Total Nonsense, a title that tells listeners it's a mix of stories, knowledge, and personality. ChatGPT hit us with that title. That's because this whole outline is by ChatGPT, and we're gonna run through it right now. Okay, so it says to do the first 5 minutes cold open and an intro. One of you kicks it off with a funny or chaotic fishing moment that happened recently. Well, fishing season has kicked off, and we have been fishing trout first, of course, because it is May. What do you guys got? Any funny moments?
Yep, I do.
Good. Kick it off, baby.
Tim and I were on one of our favorite steelhead rivers. I'm not a big spring steelheader. By this time I'm usually like, I want to do anything but steelhead. But Tim was like, let's do a steelhead float, and I was like, okay. And you know what? There were a lot of fish in the system, which was amazing. Dropbacks for sure, but they were spunky, and we hooked 11. We didn't land a lot. But we did land a few, but they were really spunky. But there was one particularly chaotic moment. We were in our Water Masters, and I was indicator fishing, and I had one hand on the oar to keep me straight, and I was like floating through this slower section and just watching the bobber. Bobber goes down. I go to set. The line slips out of my right hand, so now I've just got nothing but slack. Okay. But I can see the bobber dancing underneath the water, and I was like, "Oh shit, this fish is still on somehow!"
Oh my god!
I grab the line with my hand, and it's on. The fish is on. So I'm just applying pressure with my hand, and I'm like kind of like letting it run And it's now at this point running upstream back towards Tim. My rod's going all over the place. The water master's spinning in circles as I'm going downstream.
Mhm.
But I get the fish to the rod. As I'm doing this, I can hear Tim up the stream going, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because it must look just like absolutely
Insane.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. I get the fish onto the rod, get it onto the reel, and dude, this is a big fish. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, it was peeling line. Never had a steelhead peel line like that. It was
Yeah.
just like going upstream, like zzz, on a 10-foot 6 weight.
Damn.
But it's going upstream, right? Like it's going in like this like big back eddy. We're in a big run.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, this is good because I can't get to the bank and like get out of the water master. So I'm just going to have to anchor and kind of fight it in place. But then I realized it's like, why am I swimming upstream when I could be going downstream? And we're like in a big S bend. And at the back of the S bend, there's like it gets shallow and there's a big, rocky riffle. And he's just tearing that way. It's like a zzz, zzz. I keep increasing the drag and it's just like, zzz. And I'm like, I can't stop this fish. If I put any more pressure, the thing's going to pop. But then at one point, it does go around the bend.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I got to try and horse this thing back to me. And I didn't. It raked off. But that was my chaotic fishing moment.
Well,
it's pretty chaotic.
It goes to show you, right? It's not always the most picturesque thing, landing fish,
I wish I got to. I didn't even see the fish.
Right.
It's always
Sounded
nice
like a
just to
beast.
see it and be like, whoa,
Yeah.
Sounds like a big fish.
It sounded, yeah. Imagine if it wasn't even a steelhead. It was like something even crazier than that, like just a carp.
Yeah.
Always a carp.
Anyway, great day. Great day.
Yeah.
We did end up getting a lot of Great Lake steelhead that day. It was awesome. It was probably the most successful day of drop back fishing I've ever had in my life, by far. Even though our landing percentage wasn't great.
But it was crazy on. You were getting tons of hits.
Well, not just that. Like the fish were super active. Like I've never seen this before. Like when we were putting in, where we were putting in, the water's quite slow.
Mhm.
And there's not like a riffle or anything. There's just some slack moving water, and they're just rolling. They were rolling. I was like, those steelhead. I put the first cast on one of these rollers, and it hit a streamer right away.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
it was
awesome.
amazing. It was like you hear about these days.
Yeah.
Or like, we'll be on the boat with Matt or Jordan. They'll be talking about this stuff because they see this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Because they're there all the time. But I'm like, really? Yeah. And now I'm like, okay, really? Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those magic days.
Right place at the right time.
That was my funny or chaotic moment.
What about you, Idis? You got a funny chaotic moment? You've been spending lots of time on the river.
Yeah, I was fishing a lot. I think my only really kind of chaotic moment was like on opener.
Yeah.
Where I went out to a river that I enjoy fishing.
Yeah.
By myself because that's how I do a lot of the time. But I went out not like crazy early, just like I think I got there at like 8:45 or something. And I think I was texting you guys and started kind of you have your little like warm-up cast that you're not like really fishing. You're just kind of like getting line out and just kind of getting your fly out there.
Yeah.
And I didn't really expect to catch anything.
Yeah.
It was kind of a slower piece of water there. And then as I was like, the river has a lot of reeds on the banks and stuff, and it's getting tangled up and trying to sort myself out. And then realized I thought I was snagged on something. So it's like I was kind of swinging flies down current a little bit. Sometimes when you're swinging, your fly's hooked and you realize like the water catches the belly of the line.
Yeah.
You feel that like you're like, oh, it's snagged. And I was like, oh no, that's a fish. And then I was instantly chaos of trying to sort my line out, get everything organized, and it turned to be the biggest brown I've caught in a long time.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was texting you guys. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, you had an amazing opener. I was
it was
mad
wild.
jealous.
Yeah, just one fish after another, like big fish too.
Like,
so this was like first pool. I was just like, oh, I'll just start throwing stuff in there and see what happens. And I was like, oh, there we go. And then same thing. Like it, for a brown to put you on the reel is not super common. But yeah, this fish definitely got me on the reel. I was trying to get the line out of the reeds and all that nonsense.
That's awesome.
But I did land it because I was fishing a streamer setup with 20-pound
Right.
and don't really lose fish that way.
Okay, well, that's
It's pretty
sick.
exciting. Less chaotic, more exciting. Good times.
Very exciting. And then you had a spectacular opening
Yeah, you
day.
had a great
Which
Yeah, it was a
amazing.
good day. It was a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, both of your kind of like chaotic stories, you both caught fish, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good chaotic story. I don't think my story is chaotic, but it is kind of funny because me and my brother went out fishing the other day on this new lake that we had never seen. That
Well,
yeah,
well, if I'm just looking at the script as per ChatGPT,
Yeah.
this is a great segment into segment 1, which is called "What's in Your Net."
yeah, okay, well there we go.
Each host shares what they've been up to on the water: fish caught, trips taken, new gear tried, or strange encounters.
This is a good bridge. This is a good bridge because it's a bit of a funny, wacky story, but also talks about will take us into some recent gear. So we go onto this lake, right? That says there's supposed to be rainbow trout in it. We show up. We spend the first hour in our kayaks, just kind of looking around, trying to find some structure. I can find no topo maps on this lake anywhere. So anyway, eventually we roll up to this like beach, and Ben's like, "Dude, look! There's like 8 trout right there, and they were all huge, like 6 pound to 8 pound massive trout.
That's
Oh
Just
yeah, they were
swimming around.
huge.
They were like 15,
Ruthless.
15 to 18 pound, like 25 pound.
Adis, it says bring some personality and maybe a bit of gentle roasting. So
It does.
I have to.
ChatGPT
Oh,
has
shit,
it.
sorry.
I'm just doing what the script
You
says.
suck.
That's good
Okay.
roasting.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks,
pretty
man.
good roasting. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But,
You saw a trout with your eyes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right, bud.
Sorry, that is really actually pretty cool.
It was crazy. And Ben's like, okay, well, we found the fish. Now we got to catch them. Anyways, you guys know me. I didn't have any of the right gear. When I was leaving my house that
I'm
weekend,
surprised you stayed out an hour.
when we were leaving the house that weekend, I said to my wife, Steph, I said, I forgot my trout vest, which has like most of my trouty flies. She said, well, there's no going back now. So
It's
I
true.
had to make, whatever streamers I had work, which didn't work. Had some follows, and some very hard turnaways.
Yeah.
But it was like middle of the day. It was very bright, blah, blah, blah. But
Trout
man,
do
there was
like
a lot
that.
of fish. Ben was
Yeah.
just like, his mind was blown. There's so many fish. And we didn't catch any. Then we saw a snake and we got the hell out of there. But
What kind of
it's not
snake?
really chaotic.
What kind of a snake?
Like
What
a
kind of
crazy
snake?
like a crazy water snake.
Oh, cool. Those are sick.
Yeah, whatever, man.
My
Light roasting.
grandfather killed
Light
one
roasting.
once.
Oh no, that's not good.
Well, it was swimming towards, I guess, his daughter, which is my mom, when they were kids, and he chopped its head off with a shovel.
Well, that
Holy
is a
shit.
well that
Like a poor little garter snake.
No, it was like, I think it was like a water
Jesus
moccasin.
Christ. Oh, okay.
Where were they? Florida?
No,
Okay.
Well, that is a strange encounter, which ChatGPT asks us to do.
There
talk
we go.
about strange encounters.
Maybe let's not leave this lake because I am super curious.
yeah. I want to hear more about this.
Like, do you know if it's well, obviously at some point it had to have been stocked, but like, do they stock it often?
Yeah, they do, and that's why in the wintertime
Oh.
I was looking up different lakes in that area
Okay.
that we could target that are stocked, and that one was one of the highest stocked.
so this
so
was like
every year-
lake number 1, and it was
Yeah.
And
like,
it was
crazy.
It was crazy. It was potentially crazy.
It was crazy. It was
Let's
crazy.
go.
How'd you find out you were using fish online?
Yes.
Oh.
And I was looking at stocking numbers of different lakes in the area.
Numbers, eh?
And I found a whole bunch, and this one is like every year they put like thousands of rainbow trout into this lake.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
It looked like it had a good road to it. A lot of these lakes you can't. You got to like bushwhack or ATV into them, right? Or skidoo. But this one looked like it had a good road, and good road it did. And it was no private property, so we were very pleasantly surprised.
Oh, that's
And then
great.
when we started seeing fish, we were like, okay, well, this is great. And then someone else was there, and they were on the beach hanging out. And they're like, we haven't caught anything today, but 2 weeks ago there was thousands of fish rising everywhere. I'm like,
Did they
okay,
catch
well,
one then?
This place is sick. They did.
Oh, shit.
So they were poaching.
So no, it's open all year on that lake.
Oh.
Mhm.
Fish online
all
for
year.
people who don't know and are in Ontario or
Yeah,
traveling in
sick
Ontario.
place to ice fish too, actually.
Oh yeah, I bet. Is an online resource that the government has mapped, every lake and water
Yeah.
body in Ontario.
Provides
and
top level data.
Which is kind
exactly.
of crazy when you think like there's a lot of lakes
Every
here.
single water
There's
body.
so many lakes.
And it has like historical data on what fish are in there and what zone it is and what regulations there are. Fish Online. It's awesome. If
Do it.
just to satiate ChatGPT's new gear tried. That is a version of gear, e-gear, if you will.
True.
And 2, I don't know if everybody knows about it because I talked about it at the Sportsman Show in Mississauga, and people came up to me after and they were like, "What is this Fish Online?" And I don't know if it's that widely known about. And obviously, if you're traveling to Ontario from outside of Ontario, it's a great resource to help plan your trip, or even maybe, determine where you want to go. Because there are so many lakes in this.
I guess that's what you would call a website.
It is a website. Yeah, on the web.
Sick.
And it's cool because you can you can just look up like fish stocking and find a lake and then look it up on the map and start seeing if there's roads. And that's exactly what I did. I found a bunch of lakes I'm going to explore. But this one was like, man, it was awesome.
We were messing around with it when we went to Elk Lake last time.
Yes,
for those brookie
that is
lakes.
true. Looking for them there, brookie lakes.
So Stillwater time. Time to get those Stillwater trip.
That's cool. Was that? Would you say? Was it fair to say that was like your first year? Not your first year Stillwater trout fishing, but like usually we're spending opener together on the Credit River. That's not a mystery to anybody. We didn't spend trout opener together, maybe for the first year in a long time, and it was at the first.
We were in Muskoka, but this was my first trouting, and of the year, and it was on a lake. Yeah.
It's too bad you didn't connect.
Yeah, it's a real shame.
Well, I've got a plan. I'm going to get my 10
I'm not surprised, but
I'm going to get okay. All right. I'm going to get my 10'6"
fishing.
I'm going to get some indies. I'm going to get some balanced leeches.
Yo,
I'm going to arm myself and coordinate a full scale assault on this lake.
Whoa!
Take out every damn fish that looked at me. Yeah,
gosh.
It's going to be sick. It's going to be a fun. It's going to be a fun little summer project. We'll
there we go.
How the summer
Let's go.
Temps go.
Yeah, summer's great for trout fishing.
Fall too. Well, we'll see how the temps are in the water. It's a big lake. It's not a big lake, but it's a big enough lake.
Gentle roasting.
It's a big enough lake, and so we'll see. But definitely fall and spring for sure, and maybe a little bit of how she do. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, very cool spot. I'm really happy that I found it, and it was great to be back out on the yak. I'm
back on the yak, baby.
I'm getting the yak all retrofitted this year.
Yeah, you're saying you're going to make some upgrades.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to upgrade my trolling motor mount, which will be handy on bigger lakes. I got a new tackle box.
Ooh.
I wanted for so long to get the Wilderness Systems tackle box that goes with my yak, but it's like kind of expensive. But today I was just like laying on the floor for in between work calls, and I'm like, treat yourself, and I bought it. So now I'm gonna. It's sick, and so but now I need
sitting
a new,
on the floor like,
yeah, pretty much.
I deserve a treat.
Yeah, just back-to-back work calls. I'm like, I'm buying this thing. So I bought it, and it comes in tomorrow. And then I'm going to get a new trolling motor mount because that kind of messes with my homemade trolling motor mount. And then, just a bunch of stuff, a little anchor system. It's going to be sick. Got a new roof.
Do you not have
topper?
Do you have
a roof for your yak?
No, for my car.
Oh,
a roof topper cradle for my yak, so I can drive it around more. Yeah, roof rack.
Yeah.
And then I don't have an anchor system. No, I had an anchor that I would just throw off and tie to my handle. But
what's a version of a system?
Yeah, but I'm gonna do like system, on the Water Masters, like the pulley system. I'm gonna do off the back. I'm gonna do it off the back too because I don't mount anything off the back, so it's gonna be pretty dialed.
Is your trolling motor off on the side? I guess.
Yeah,
correct.
I guess you couldn't reach it if it was at the back, eh?
That is right. My arms aren't.
You're a little
enough.
guy.
Yeah, I mean it would be a pretty awkward thing to do, like reaching to the back of a yak and like going like that. But
reach to the back of that yak.
Well, I thought maybe you'd have a really long
extender.
Handle.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but still, this is good. I just put it on the side. You get these little bars that you can mount your trolling motor on, and they just kind of connect to the behind your seat. Anyway, it's going to be the year of the yak. Year of the yak.
There you go.
Although you're going to be getting on your yak, you need to get a yak.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, they're cheaper than those R8s you keep buying.
Yeah, true. True.
I didn't buy any of them.
Okay, well, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Optional spice. If one of you had a terrible day on the water, turn it into a mini roast with others piling on in good fun. Well, we've done a lot of the roasting. I mean,
we definitely piled on Mitch.
He's really running with that roast.
Yeah. each host shares what they've been up to. I guess we all kind of did that. I've been on
Your
3
turn.
floats so far, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So I've just been floating to start the year off.
Yeah.
2 Watermaster floats,
Nice.
Yeah.
and then 1 float. That's actually funny. One day I did with Josh, one day I did with Tim, and then the third day was with Tim and Josh.
Yo.
And I rode them around on Josh's pretty sweet raft. And it was a grind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and boy, did we lose a big fish at the end of the day.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good.
Total
It's
beef-
a season
total
of
beef.
losses so far for you.
Yeah, if you go to our Instagram and see that video of Josh tying on a dry fly and then losing a fish. It was that fish. Right
Oh,
at
that
the
one.
right, dude. It was the craziest thing. Mayflies all day, Hendricksons all day long. Not
Yeah.
a single rising fish. Millions of fucking bugs.
Yeah.
All over the place. We're basically at the takeout. There's like one little eddy that we were gonna like chuck some streamers into. But as we're rolling up to it, the hugest explosion comes out of the foam.
Oh, nice.
And we're like, oh my God. And then another one. And we're like, oh my God, finally, rising fish. So we anchor.
Yeah.
It's kind of really a bizarre. It's a hard presentation because it's like this big swirling foamy back eddy. And we're like anchored right basically in the middle of the run at this point. To get any kind of hope at a cast. But you've got the fast water close into you. So you can't really let your fly line hit the water. So it's just like it's very awkward. But anyway.
Yeah.
We kind of got the motion in, got a couple of, smaller parachute style presentations to these fish. Nothing. And I remember back when Rob and I were filming this thing for the new Fly Fisher when they did the episode with Drift. And there was this rising rainbow trout
An RRT.
on a river. Yeah. In foam. And it was doing the same thing, big splashy rises. And Rob tried all these small flies of what, possibly it could be eating. And then he just threw on the biggest fucking stimulator you've ever seen in your life. And he looks at me and I go, that fly? And we hadn't caught a lot of fish at this point. So it was like, fuck, we need to get something on camera. And he's like, well, it's acting like a big fish. So maybe it wants a big meal. And he slapped it on the water and ate right away. And we landed.
Sick.
It was amazing.
That's
That's
awesome.
crazy.
And I had this epiphany.
thinking.
I remembered that moment. And I was like, oh, I just looked in my box for the biggest Hendrickson looking thing, even though it was way too big.
Yeah.
It was this parachute, almost like drowned mayfly pattern.
Mm.
And I was like, this, maybe? And I gave it to Josh. First cast. This thing explodes.
That's sick.
And it was a
Yeah.
huge brown.
That's
And
awesome.
we got it right to the boat, and it came up. It popped right at the boat.
Oh
It
no.
was like so heartbreaking.
Huh.
It was like just out of like net reach. I was like, it was coming in, skipping on the top, all that good
Mhm.
stuff. I was like,
Yeah.
it
Off
really
she
would have
goes.
saved the day because we only caught like 4 fish that day, and we were on the water for like 10 hours.
Oh,
Good Lord.
jeez.
Well, that definitely makes it sting.
But it was a fun day,
That's
Yeah,
good.
hey.
I love rowing people around. It's so much
It's just
fun.
great to be out there,
Yeah.
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 Adis, you've been fucking tearing it up every time.
Yeah,
you go on the
I just
water.
I just went full sicko mode on bushwhacking and run around in the woods.
It's good.
It's my style in the spring. I can't wait to get out there. And
Yep.
And fruitful. And you're swinging wets. Like it's 1950.
92.
yeah. It was pretty good. I think it was like because the weather's been a bit weird, right? So like the days have been hot, but the nights have been cold. So the fish they're still a bit deeper. They're not really chasing streamers the same way you'd expect them to.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, like there's bug activity, but there's like they're not eating that much.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain those days. I still for the life of me. I know I'm going to keep having them.
I think it was I was talking to Nick about the Hendricksons where he's like sometimes they hatch so early and the water's still kind of cold that the fish haven't totally clued in that they're a food source yet. If they're still kind of like bobbing around down at the bottom, they're not really looking up at the surface yet. But I did catch a fish on a dry, like with Josh also. We saw fish rising, which was weird. This was still April. Like this was the Sunday after opener. Josh and I were out there or something in that week. and we saw rising fish. We're like, why are there fish eating dries? Like, what's going on here? And we caught them, and it's pretty fun catching fish on dries in the end of April. It's good times. But yeah, got a lot of walking and picked up a lot of fish.
Yeah, dude, you
It's good
killed
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
It's also kind of funny that we got reunited with Josh on the fly this time of year. It's like,
well, I'd been bugging
how was
him.
your winter?
Yeah.
You know,
It's just bugging him to go fish this little spot, and then finally he was like, "Oh, okay."
How was your winter?
How was your winter, brother?
We made it through.
Exactly.
You know, we're all crawling out of
Exactly.
our caves.
Mhm.
That's it,
Okay,
man. That's
well,
it.
segment 2, hot takes from the boat.
Oh.
Each host brings a spicy or unpopular fishing opinion.
We debate it for a few minutes each.
A few minutes.
Well, I don't know. I've only got one. They've given us a couple here. The ones they gave us are very hot takes. The first one is barbless hooks are overrated. I definitely don't agree.
I do.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, here we go.
And
Go
then
ahead, you
let
have
it get a
few
little.
minutes.
I know. I used to be pretty steadfast on barbless hooks,
Yeah.
and obviously for, you know, when we're pike fishing, we're always barbless because we're like we don't want that thing to get jammed in your throat, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. An old guest, Trip Fontaine, said he's seen enough times where, especially I think really when it just comes to like steelhead fishing or larger trout, where his clients fight the fish for so much longer because they're so scared that it's going to pop off that it has the adverse effect and that the fish dies from being tired.
Okay.
And it wasn't until he said that that I was like, maybe there is a case for the opposite, you know?
But
feel
would
like
those clients also fight the fish for too long with a barbed hook?
No, he said when they fished barbs,
Oh.
when he was in barb,
They didn't
in
care.
barb time, he's like
This sounds like a client
Yeah.
angler situation more so than a hook
I
situation.
don't know.
Yeah,
I
agree.
fish when I can with steelhead anyway. I fish barbed.
Yeah.
And I definitely horse them in a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the
I guess
fish.
I don't really think about it.
I wouldn't say that. I don't know if I would say barbless hooks are overrated
They have their place.
so much as I would say there's a time and a place for barbed
Exactly.
hooks, I guess.
Yeah. If you're trying to catch dinner.
Like if you're fishing like a barbless hook, I'm not gonna be like, okay. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's an interesting thing, you know? It's an interesting thing.
I just think maybe shouldn't be as staunch. I mean, like, I guess it boils down to common sense. Like, do you think you can bring the fish in a reasonable fight time?
Yeah.
And then do you think you can unhook it in a reasonable way? And I think when it comes to pike, I'm always going to fish barbless because I know what happens when pike eat and they throat the fucking thing half the time.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. No.
So, especially if you don't detect the strike right away.
Yeah.
So, or, you know.
I know what people are thinking too. They're having a slow day. They're going to keep their barbs on.
I know what you're thinking losing fish everywhere. Yeah, sure. Okay.
You bet your butt cheeks I'm keeping that thing barbed permit fishing.
Yeah, I mean, saltwater is a different house you do. I think. I mean, from my experience, it's like they're pretty hardy fish.
I forgot ChatGPT wrote these. I thought you wrote these.
Let it get a little heated or ridiculous, but wrap with a truth scale rating.
Oh my gosh, truth scale. All right, I'll do truth scale 1 to 10. Let's go.
Are barbless hooks are overrated on the truth scale?
What's the truth scale rating?
As in, like 10 is like absolute truth and 1 is a lie.
Yes.
Barbless hooks are overrated. That is a 4 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
They're not overrated, but I think they're praised more than they should be.
Sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd give it a 2 because I think that
we didn't get very heated though.
I think the statement is flawed.
Yeah. What?
Fly fishing is just fancy worm dunking. Really
certainly at this time of year.
That doesn't make any sense.
Certainly nothing hot take about that.
Yeah, no.
100% it is. It's getting more and more fancy worm dunking.
The fanciest
We're literally dunking worms when you're Euro nymphing with squirmy worms.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all agreed. Truth scale 10.
100%.
The third, I'd rather catch a smallie than a muskie. I would agree with that. Call me crazy, boys.
You're crazy. Was that too heated? Sorry.
I think I'd rather
cool it down.
I think I'd rather spend a day smallmouth fishing than musky fishing.
Yeah,
Oh,
It's
that's
certainly more
a very
enjoyable.
different thing, though. That's
It's a better statement.
100%.
I'd rather
Yeah.
catch a smallie than a muskie. Well, no, I'd rather catch.
Well, no,
a
I'd rather
muskie.
catch a muskie. Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
because I haven't caught
So then that's 0 on the truth scale.
100%.
any
That's
muskie.
that's a full 0.
Yeah, but I mean, there's something to be said about. I do really enjoy smallmouth fishing in comparison to muskie fishing.
Yeah,
It's
More.
way more enjoyable.
it's super fun. Like, are you
Okay, well,
insane? It's
You're
so
not on
much fun.
you're not on an 11 weight. You're not chucking it
Yeah.
an entire chicken's worth of feathers,
and you're
Yeah.
catching lots of fish.
and you're catching lots of fish.
Yeah, yeah.
Aggressive fish that jump all over the place.
Yeah, hilarious.
I guess what makes it a hot take is I'd rather catch a smallie than a muskie. And they wrote these as examples. Like these aren't our hot takes.
No.
But
I'm
trying to find some.
I got
truth
time for
in
these
them.
hot takes.
I got a hot take
Yeah.
though. I wrote one down because I thought we were
Oh,
doing
great.
this.
Oh, great.
You need a sinking line for streamer fishing. My
Well.
opinion is you don't. You know,
Are
like
we talking? What are we talking here?
brown trout
Like you-
streamer fishing,
Trout river streamer
trout
fishing.
river fishing. Everyone's like, you need a sinking line to fish streamers, and I say no, you don't. You can control that with weighted flies
Yeah, I would say
and
that.
different leaders.
Yeah, that
For
would make
our
sense.
rivers, I 100% agree.
Yeah, for our rivers where we're fishing. First of all, I don't think a sinking line does literally nothing because the fly is hitting the water and the line does not affect it. You're ripping it out of there so fast
in that amount of time.
Yeah, it's like a fraction. Like 1 second, it hits the water, you're moving it. The line, unless it's sinking like 11 feet per second or something, like
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think you nailed it. I think fly design is always going to trump the positive that sinking line might, the nominal positive a sinking line does in that
for sure
regard.
Yeah,
Listen, if you're ripping streamers in a lake,
totally different. Yeah,
totally
or
different.
like a big
you're obviously
wide
gonna sink,
river or something.
You're obviously going to sink the fly if you're swinging, using T fucking 11.
Yeah,
you got 3 seconds to make a swing or to whatever, pull your streamer through the seam. Yeah, I mean your fly line's not doing much. You're right.
Yeah,
A thin,
you're
heavy
losing
fly
accuracy.
Yeah, true. Good point.
This has been on my mind.
Okay,
It's
well,
been on your mind. Well, it's a good one.
It is a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think when it comes to trout, I think also people would like when you're thinking about sinking flies, whether it be a nymph or whatever, like you do have to understand not. We always talk about dry fly fishing or indicator fishing, and you're talking about drag. Well, you're talking about like the drag that you can see, which I guess we can call horizontal drag. I'm just going to make up a statement.
Yeah.
Like you can see it on the surface.
Hydrology.
You're either dragging it upstream or dragging it downstream. That's your drag.
Mhm.
But you also have drag vertically through the water column, right?
Yep.
And that's one thing you could learn really well with Euronymph design, whereas like something like a Paragon is going to cut through
very sparse
that
heavy
water column quite well. And another reason why Euronymphing or whatever you use such skinny diameters of leader or tippet material or whatever is because you want that line to also cut down, because that leader material is also going to drag.
Yeah.
So I think I'm with you. I think your fly design, and also I think your leader composition.
Yes,
because if you have a big belly in your leader, or if you have a sinking line, guess what sinks first?
Both.
The line, not the fly. The fly is still suspended, which works when we're when we're like when we're working weed line for pike.
Yeah.
And you've got a Buford on, and you have a 5-inch per second pike line, and you let the line sink, and then the fly follows the line.
Water.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's totally fine. That presentation is very successful. But I think to your point, Ada,
what's your leader setup?
Me? Oh, so for what
Good
I've
point.
been thank you. What I've been using, and I think thank you. What I've been doing is I use my old 4X tapered leaders for the dry fly rigs. Like once they're once they get chopped up, I'll use that as a butt section. And then I run a swivel. So the butt section is probably like 3 or 4 feet, maybe 5, to a beefy swivel, and then a section like 2 feet of 2X or something like that. And that's it. So also, I think the swivel obviously helps sink. But that's
Right.
it.
There's a little bit of weight with the swivel.
Yeah, and then I don't have to trim back the butt section because there's a swivel there. And the swivel, I think, also helps keep the fly upright for like how I'm stripping line. It doesn't really affect the fly. And then that's it. That's
Right.
all I do.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Oh,
I know,
thanks.
obviously, you don't want to like a 12-foot leader.
No.
No.
And I find especially maybe it's just probably like the rivers we're fishing here, especially when you're fishing streamers, you're casting into pretty like accurate spots. Like you're really trying to get it into like little pockets by like a log or behind a rock or something. And I definitely find like once your leader is past like 6 feet, you're gonna lose a lot of that accuracy. I find, especially with roll casting. And with like fast currents and stuff. So I find a short leader, you can land the fly exactly where you want, and you have a more a better connection to the fly. I find when you're stripping it, so you're gonna feel if something hits it. You're not gonna be worrying about all this extra leader material dangling around or anything like that.
You
Or
could
like
also
a thick taper, a thick taper kind of getting in the way too, right?
Yeah.
Like how important is the taper?
For streamers, I don't think so. I used to run
Okay.
just like 5 feet of 20 pound or 12 pound or something, and that was fine
Right.
too. But I
Yeah.
find like that I just felt bad throwing out my tapered leaders, so I just use those.
Reuse them.
I love that. A little reuse, reduce,
There you go.
recycle.
Recycle, reuse.
Yeah.
That's the news.
Well,
There
also,
you
a little taper in the butt section would help turnover.
Yeah,
Turnover,
so
yeah.
I did
Surmise,
find
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people do that too with for their streamer
Yeah.
setups.
That's a great way to reuse leader material. I love that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Recycle,
Also,
reuse.
when you're not really worried about a delicate presentation with streamers. You're going
Yeah,
after
not
the
so
most
much.
fired
I mean,
up, aggressive
100%. Yeah.
fish in the
Yeah.
river.
Yeah, and I honestly I've been swinging them too quite a bit more because while the fish are deeper, and I find that works pretty well. But that's where like I'll be fishing 40, 50 feet away from me, like far away, and just dangling them down in the current.
You getting a lot of fish on the dangle?
Yeah, actually, so opener, all those fish they were all on dangle.
Oh,
Oh.
sick.
Yeah,
And those were streamers or wet flies?
they were they were all streamers. Yeah, they were all streamers. I did mess around. I think I caught one on the credit. Like on an emerging type wet fly type thing. But the other ones,
You reckon the fish was following it to the dangle, or did your fly just hit where they were?
I think it's because they
dangle.
were
Great
deeper.
question.
They were so the river I was fishing. Typically when I fish them, it's a bit warmer and they're up right tight in the fastest water. But anyone who's been here, it's kind of been pretty chilly still. So they were further back in the slack water of the pools more so. So I found dangling the fly and just like mending downstream a bit, letting it sink, and then just slowly pulling it back. You get those like territorial strikes, and that was like every single fish was that. So that was fun. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd had fish chase, like casting upstream and stripping down. You'd see them chase a little bit, like come take a look at it and whatever. But yeah, again, the ones that they all ate was all dangle.
Can I add a
Dangle all day.
curveball question here? Not that much of a curveball. What are your thoughts on? Obviously, this was developed for dry fly fishing, but Scientific Anglers just released like a clear tip floating line.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'd try it. Oh, actually,
No, I just mean in this leader theory
of
not needing a long leader and not.
I mean,
would that keep more of a mystery between?
I don't know.
Does it really matter
I feel
for
like
streamers?
I feel like it'd be too thick, right? You still want to taper down from like the fly line diameter to your leader diameter. Like it needs to taper down to like function properly, right?
Right.
I feel like if you put a
sink.
fly at the end of your fly line, it's not going to work right.
Well, that's not what they're suggesting. It's
No,
just giving
but-
you more distance between that and the
Sure.
colored line.
Yeah. No, you know what I'm saying.
But having the leader material is what you're saying is the thing that's
I think you need
synchroony.
you need that longer tapering. I
not
mean, I don't know.
that
I'd be
the
curious
Fish
because
are shy of the fly line. Yeah.
I have to this date hated every single clear tip line I've ever thrown.
I never
Yeah.
thrown one.
Because they're monocores. Typically, I haven't done any research on this new SA line.
Yeah.
But typically they're monocores. That's how they're clear.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of memory in monocores. And typically when I've been fishing clear lines, it's been in the salt. And I get a lot of coiling, which means I get less distance, which means my casts are less accurate, which means
blame
when
it
I'm
on the coiling.
I'm going to blame some of it on the coiling.
Well, we have fished one. We have the Rio Tropical Predator line.
That's the best one.
That one is
I've fished.
And I think Mitch, I think I gave that to you when you guys went down south for bonefish. But that one it's an intermediate tip to hover to float.
Yeah.
Right.
And
other way, or like you're working
other way around. Yeah.
So that one, because we were using it.
Well, that makes more sense to have a clear tip because it's underwater, right?
Yeah. And that line was great. Like fishing it for smallies was awesome.
But like, does it?
And I find that the makeup of that line, for whatever reason, it doesn't have as much of the coiling problem. But maybe that's because we're always fishing it in really humid environments. Because like when it's
that's what that's what it's designed for. We were taking it out when it was a little cold still, and I tried fishing it, and it definitely had more memory. And then fishing it like in full summer, it was great. There was very little memory to it. So I don't know. Love that line.
Interesting hot take from you. I like it.
Yeah, that one got off track a little.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's like the thing with fishing hot takes is it's like, I don't know. It's context is everything. Which river? What day? What's the water? Yeah. What's the water level?
There's no one setup that's the right thing for everything.
Yeah, I'm sure in some applications a sinking line
a
might be
9'8" weight.
Except for a 9'8" weight. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need, baby. All right, let's go.
Segment number 3, they call the mystery tackle box. This is from ChatGPT. Obviously, you prepare 3 fishing-related mystery questions in advance, or let ChatGPT generate them. Winky emoji. And that each host has to blindly answer. So why don't we go one by one?
These are actually pretty fun questions.
I like this.
Well, let's start with, I'm going to do Aldo first. You're trapped on a lake for 24 hours. What 3 things do you bring?
Go.
That's the first one they asked.
Fishing related or survival?
You're fishing. What are the 3 fishing items you bring?
Fly fishing?
But then it would be like a rod, a reel,
and flies.
Well, no, but you don't have line.
Oh shit!
No shit.
Well, all right.
Okay. Well, what?
Let's do this way. Pretend you have all your fishing gear. What do you bring you're in the woods. You have nothing but fishing gear.
Oh.
What else are you bringing with you? A survival pack by Muskoka in the woods.
Well, now I'm even more confused. Am I bringing water? Like I'm
No, you can drink lakes if you want, but you might get giardia. Cryptosporidium. Lots of things you can get.
This question makes no sense.
Well,
it was generated by an AI, but what 3 things do I bring if I'm trapped on a lake for 24 hours?
Yeah, you got
assuming I have all my fishing gear.
And you're in a boat, not just like in the water.
You don't have a boat. No,
you don't have a boat.
Well, you could bring a boat.
Okay, well, I'm bringing a canoe.
Okay,
yeah.
But now I got to bring a paddle.
You don't have to, but it's a good idea.
You don't have to.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring a canoe, a paddle, and a tarp.
Oh, a tarp.
There you go.
24 hours isn't that long, like you can.
Is it raining?
I'm like drugs. I'll bring drugs. Like,
I mean, a lighter,
a pack of smokes and some mushrooms. Like 24 hours is not that long.
No,
a lighter would be a good idea. A lighter would be a good idea, so you can have a fire. Idis, if fish could talk, what species would be the biggest?
Oh,
joke?
I read this one. The biggest jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to say a bass.
Bass, like a
like a
large
kind of a jerk.
A large just like
bass?
a super obnoxious, just like
bully,
chirping people for no reason, just awful.
I was gonna say a permit, but in like a snobby elitist way. Like
okay.
A permit would say something to you. Like,
you call that a fly?
Actually, it's a Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, fuck this person.
It's kind of how I feel Atlantic salmon would be like very, refined with wines and whatnot.
Oh, I imagine bass just like obnoxious as hell.
Like Monster Energy drink.
Yeah.
Jacked up pickup truck.
Like chugging a Four Loko. It's the worst. You're like,
it's a tough one because I don't want any of these fish to be jerks. I don't know.
But this isn't real. It's just you're just using your imagination.
I know, but I think about a fish and I feel bad. I'm like, don't throw smallmouth bass under the bus.
Well, I'm not throwing them under the bus.
Dude, honestly, probably pike, man. Those guys like,
they're dicks. Pikes are dicks.
They're just eat everything. They're less like, I feel like they're very genuine. They're very genuine. They don't. They're not.
Could still be a jerk.
Sure. Yeah. I guess so.
Okay, so you're going with largemouth bass.
I'm going with a largemouth bass. Sure. Yeah. That's going to be my final answer.
Going permit. Snobby.
I'm going to say pike.
Yeah, pike.
Because
they're slimy. I feel
I
like
like
pike
'em.
would be more like greasy and
They're awesome. I
suspicious.
love 'em.
They're sus.
Okay, I'm gonna ask myself, if you could fish one fly or lure for the rest of your life, what would it be? Black marabou leech. That's what I would fish. It's the only fly I would bring.
Well, let's assume that woolly bugger's off the table.
Yeah, but also I don't even think I'd bring. Like, I don't think it would be a woolly bugger
It
because I
would for
just.
sure for me be an olive woolly bugger conehead, no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mine would
That-
Yeah, that's a
be
good one.
that that fly crushes around the world.
black marabou leech, baby. It's just everywhere's got leeches, especially
Lakes.
big juicy ones that fish like.
My God,
Marabou.
My God.
Big juicy ones.
Woolly buggers are just they're just too boring, you know? Like I'd
Marabou
be like
leech.
bored of it, Mary. Yeah, at least it's
That's
it's
why I
like,
said assume woolly bugger's off the table.
assume it's
Yeah.
off the table. That's what I'd go
Assume
with.
it's on the table. Off the table, on the table. What's going on here?
What are you gonna bring, Idis?
Oh, one fly?
Yeah.
One fly to rule them all.
Why not?
Yeah, I'd probably bring.
T-bone?
Yeah, a T-bone. That's what I'm gonna go with. T-bone. That's it.
You would.
A tabone?
You
no,
would.
no. I think. Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to say like a woolly bugger, or like something of that, or like a slump buster, like a rabbit strip, zonker, leech type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
'Cause,
fair. That's fair.
But I don't know. I don't. Maybe.
Swamp Buster's pretty different from a woolly bugger.
I know. No, just like a leechy looking
Something
thing.
streamery. Yeah.
Streamery.
No. That's
Tree
absolutely
Lex
smashing.
minnow.
Absolutely smashing, Basil.
Oh, this one's going to be fun. This next
Cool.
segment.
Here we go.
What's the next segment?
Next segment 4. From the listener logbook.
Aw.
Read
All
or
right.
respond to DMs, reviews, or listener questions you've collected. So I saw this and I put a question on our Instagram saying, asking folks to.
Oh wow, we got a bunch of answers. Yeah, like send
Oh,
us some
dang.
questions.
Yeah, send us some questions. Okay, here we
Here we
go.
go. All right. Is this gonna be rapid fire or what?
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Yeah,
Rapid
I
fire.
think some of these could end up being long-winded, so let's try to keep them quick.
Okay. Okay.
Mitch,
I'm ready,
how
I'm
did
ready
this
to
all
answer.
get started? How did SoFly start?
In
Drugs.
2015, we decided we wanted to do something creative, and we made a podcast and met a bunch of people, and here we are.
It started as a blog called Drift that Mitch wrote, but then evolved into this podcast.
Yeah.
Boof.
Boom.
Any niche fisheries that get you super excited?
Yes.
Go. Which one?
Oh no, just yes.
Oh my God. Okay, maybe not that fast.
Well, that means naming rivers and stuff. Are we not doing that?
How about just gar
It's
fishing?
niche.
Like just something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Bowfin.
Yeah, bowfin, gar. That stuff. Warm water stuff. Warm water predators.
That was from Life Between Lines. Yes, I will say, be slightly specific, sight
Mitchell.
casting for gar pike
Mm.
Nice.
in the Great Lakes or wherever you find them when they're laid up in the shallows is really, really interesting and
Yeah.
very niche.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very specific.
I mean, same with bowfin, man. Like that sight fishing on Champlain would be so sick for bowfin. You know, I want to do that. It would be so cool.
It
It's
would
such
be.
a weird thing.
From top. Oh,
From
Oh.
Taco, yeah. If you were to live in the U.S., which state and city would you live in and why? If you were to live in the U.S., which state and city would you live in and why? Taco, you crazy guy.
you crazy bastard. Politics aside, Florida. Isla Morada.
Oh, interesting.
1,000,000%. And I just got to fish for tarpon and snook and bonefish and permit all the time.
I would
Or
live,
Key West. Or Key West, somewhere in the Keys.
I would probably live in Lincoln, Montana.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, right on.
you'd go right in.
Lincoln.
Rocks.
I'm gonna go Jackson,
Yeah,
Wyoming.
or Craig, but Lincoln just got a couple more things. There's a gas station. There's a
Ooh,
nice
there's,
place
a gas,
to
there's a
eat
gas station.
breakfast.
Yeah,
You know,
make sure you go.
You haven't been to Livingston, though.
no,
There you
but Lincoln was sick, man. Where would you go?
I was gonna go Jackson, Wyoming.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty nice town.
Good winter activities: rock climbing, fishing.
Yep.
Giddy up.
Hmm. Jackson's sick.
Besides trout, what is each of your favorite freshwater fish to catch on the fly?
I think we all have the same answer.
Pike?
Mm-mm.
Pike.
Mm-mm. I was gonna say walleye just because I love walleye, and they're not notoriously known as a fun fish to catch on the fly, which is why I like saying it. But yeah, pike is probably
100% pike.
probably the ants, but also smallies. Smallies are so fun. Largies, Geesh, I don't know. Favorite pike. Yeah.
Pike. Smooth River Guiding. How do you balance life, the show, fishing, and hosting trips? Any
don't.
tips?
We don't.
We don't. We burn
Everything's
out
suffering
crazy.
equally. Yeah, it's a good question, Matt. How do you do it?
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting question for Matt to ask because he obviously guides constantly and he has 2 young kids. I do not have a child. Obviously, you do.
How does anyone do it? You know, you just
I was on
kind
a
of do
field
I'll
it.
trip
say
today.
I could not do it without Bree.
That's nice. Now we all have
Supportive.
to say that.
Aw,
Yeah,
that's
Steph,
sweet.
man, I could.
No, you don't have to say that. I just
Well,
mean,
of course
like, it's
I
a
do, because
huge
she's gonna listen to
help.
this thing and
Like,
say,
I mean,
"Why didn't you call me out?"
Yeah, it
Frankie
definitely
would
helps.
die if
That's
I
true.
went on
That's
these
true.
trips.
If you left for a
know.
week, your dog would die for sure.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I think a very understanding partner. I think
Mhm.
not only a romantic partner, but also partners like you guys. Like, I mean, we do
Aw.
divide and conquer a
What do you
lot.
mean not romantic?
Well,
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, what's that supposed to mean?
Well, you know.
Bree's a better kisser.
Whatever.
Okay, well, I guess we can just call it here.
Oh, no, not so tough, are we, eh?
Learning
I
learning
would
to
say-
negotiate with your partner.
Yeah, I would say that obviously a lot of planning. You know, the more we can plan in advance,
Yeah.
the better we can do that divide and conquering.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Obviously, like, you know, we've had team members come and go, like Gab and Yilma, but we've always been good about splitting up tasks and stuff. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, Adis helps us out a ton with the photos. Mitch kind of spearheads the podcast editing. I do the social media and video. You know, like, we're a
good.
team for a reason, you know?
Teamwork, guys. It makes the dream work.
Everybody's good at something, but nobody's good at everything.
Right.
What's your thing? My thing's sound effects. Here's a T-Rex. Great ad.
Yeah, that ad. Yeah, I do remember that ad.
Best
That was
ways
great.
to meet fellow fly anglers to go out with in Toronto: the Southern Ontario Trout Opener Social. Every
Boof.
April.
Oof. But also just in general, Jack, keep an eye out for not only our events,
Mhm.
but also events done by the fly shops here in Southern Ontario. And,
Yep.
Yep.
you know, we
Mhm.
try to highlight as many clubs as we can because a lot of them have public invite days,
Totally.
and like non-members only events.
Yeah.
You know, Ottawa Fly Fisher Club, Isaac Walton here in Toronto, Forest City Fly Club, like it goes on, Brampton,
Yeah.
Niagara, like there's, you know, just try to keep an eye out for that. And
Yeah,
Dream
go online
sponsor
and
of
ask
the
people where their
pod?
spots are.
dream
Dream-
sponsor of the pod,
Kit Kat. 100%. Take a break on the river.
Kit Kat.
Oh my God, it's the best chocolate bar
You
out
had that
there.
on
Yeah.
deck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
oh
were
yeah.
Go.
you were red.
was gonna go coffee crisp.
I emailed Kit Kat
Just
maybe
both of
once.
you guys choose a chocolate
Chocolate
bar.
bars. I email Kit Kat once a week at least, trying to
Really?
get them to back the show. Oh,
I can't tell if you're
for
joking or not.
10
I can't tell
years
you're
I've
joking,
done
but Dario runs the Kit Kat account, so
that. So we know the guy that works for Kit Kat. Why?
Yeah, what's going on
why?
here?
Yeah.
dream sponsor of the pod.
I think
Hell's Bay Boats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
we'll each
That's
have a
good
different
one.
answer
I'm
for
with
this.
you on that one.
Yeah,
No, I
give us a
agree with
skiff.
Mitch. Hell's Bay boats would be sick. We get a
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
skiff. Would be awesome.
That would be sick. Yeah.
Dream
I'm on
podcast
board.
guest.
Does that have to be alive?
I'd love to talk to Jimmy Kimmel about fly fishing. I think he'd be a fun fly fishing guy to chat to, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, true.
He's like a late show host. He knows how to talk. He obviously can
That'd
interview
be
like
great.
crazy.
Why
and-
haven't we had him on?
I don't know. He's kind of hard to get a hold of.
Did you try emailing him?
He'd be kind of fun to talk to, or just someone super famous like that. You know,
Oh,
I don't
Liam
know.
Neeson would be. I
Yeah.
still think
Or,
would be amazing.
Someone super famous, just because it's like, why the heck not? You know. But
Yeah.
I mean, we
Vigo Mortensen.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Does he
That'd be
fly?
sick.
Oh yes.
And
he
he-
does.
Talk
Lord of the
about fly
Rings
fishing
and
on
fly
set.
fishing.
Of Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. Yeah.
Oh my god! And we can talk about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, something crazy
on.
like that. Yeah.
Fly fishing art or sport?
Both.
I guess it depends because I'm not much of an athlete, but I do enjoy fly fishing.
I would say like what's the sport element of it, right? And I think that's like the
Walking.
hiking. Yeah, the hiking, the exploring, like that stuff. If you take that out, it
You're
becomes less of a
casting, yeah.
sport.
Well, you're casting.
Yeah, sure. But I think the casting and that stuff is more artful.
I would say it's an art.
Fly
Yeah.
tying certainly is an art.
Sure,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But then that
Uh,
brings into the question of like the art and within sport. Anyway,
that's
moving
a good
on.
question too. No, that's a good question.
No,
too.
it's a
I don't
good
know.
question, and
Maybe it's something better altogether. It's neither an art nor
Whoa.
a sport.
What's
maybe it's
better
both.
than
That's why
art?
they call it the sporting life.
Maybe it's a combination of sport and art. Maybe it's a spart.
Yep. That's it.
Are you guys continuing your day trip YouTube series, maybe weekend trips? We are.
We are now that we're back on the water, for sure.
Oh, something. Oh, Levi, something somewhere to do. Something to do with fly fishing that you've never done before that you have always wanted to go try or do.
Wait, what?
Like what
what's
if
something
what
you
do you want
wanna
to
do?
do that you haven't done in fly fishing?
Mm-hmm.
Go places.
Okay.
Yeah, it usually
Like
revolves
go and
around a
places.
place. It usually revolves around a place for sure.
Yeah.
Are we all pretty hard up on the Golden Dorado still?
Yeah, I would do that.
Forever.
That'd be sick.
That'd be
Maybe, like
pretty
more, yeah, tropical river fishing or something.
I'd love to go fish grayling. I have never
Grayling
caught a
would be sick.
grayling.
Yeah,
I've
I'd
never
love
caught
to
a
go to like
grayling.
Alaska or something. I don't know, somewhere cold.
Alaska.
I'll be honest with you, I would love to go to Alberta. Like I haven't really even done that.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Go to Alberta.
Like go fish some of those Rocky Mountain
Big time.
rivers
Honestly, there's
for bull trout and stuff.
Oh yeah, that'd be
be
great.
so sick.
Just go places and fish.
Yeah.
Like good call on the grayling. I would love to see a grayling. Oh
Me
my
too.
god.
What 3 changes would you like to see within the Ontario fishing regulations?
Wow, Rob.
That's
With the
deep,
big
man.
one. I like talking about Ontario stuff, obviously.
Can I start?
Yeah.
Yep.
A less adversarial relationship amongst anglers.
Okay, not sure if that's going to be in the fishing regulations.
Oh, in the regulations. Sorry.
But good attitude check for sure. Yeah.
We could regulate that, maybe.
Yeah.
I would like to revisit some
Yeah, I think
regulations in a more
Yes.
science-based approach.
Yes. Big
There are
time.
certain, I would say there are certain seasons that make little to no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to really get into that now because it's a kind of a wormhole. But I
No.
feel like we could re-examine some seasons
To better protect the fish.
Yeah.
and also
And-
to open up more opportunities to
For
fish
anglers.
for them.
Sure.
I think it makes more sense, for example, just off the top of my head,
I know
to close trout in the summer and keep it open the rest of the
Yeah.
year. I don't know.
Ding, ding,
Like,
ding.
as long as
winner.
you protect the spawn too, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
We see it in other places. Like they open and shut pike up. Like
Yeah,
they open
bass.
pike, they shut it down, they reopen it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you can do it with trout as well. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the regulations need to acknowledge the effects of climate change, I think, more acutely.
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one.
That's a nice way to
change.
phrase it.
It's nice. I would like to see the eradication of the conservation and sport license in favor of a happy medium. I don't know why we have 2 different types of
Yeah.
licenses. I don't think that benefits anybody. I think
Yeah.
I think one, the license should be more expensive.
Yeah. Increase the cost of the license. Yeah.
Increase the cost of the license so we can get more funding, so we can get more conservation efforts, so we can get more access, so we can
enforcement
get more.
officers.
Not just that, but also like fun stuff like boat
Yeah,
ramps
yeah.
at rivers and shit like that.
Yeah.
And like and I don't think we need a 2-tiered license.
No.
That's insane to me.
No, it's
don't-
like I think it's like acknowledge that there how many people are actually fishing and help develop infrastructure that supports like preventing unnecessary erosion, preventing people cutting through people's property. Like just create this infrastructure so people can use it properly. Be like, this is the access point. This is where you go out. Then you don't have people bushwhacking or like tearing down banks. Like all that stuff adds up. You see it, not to segue too much, but you saw it in the rock climbing world, where people would develop areas and not put in trails or anything, and then the whole forest gets eroded. When you put in a trail, you have precise efforts and stuff. You make, you have an impact, but it stays in that area. So I'd like to see the same thing happen in fly fishing, because a lot of the same issues that affected rock climbing are affecting fly fishing, where you have access issues. We're losing access to places where people enjoy doing this activity. So it'd be nice that the conservation efforts acknowledge this and help create this infrastructure so people can access it safely and responsibly.
I like that.
Wow, those are 2 really succinct ways of putting.
You've put it very well.
Oh, thanks.
How about
There's
this third
Mhm.
would be maybe more of an accessibility thing? I think sometimes the regulations themselves can be a little bit daunting for people to read,
For sure.
or maybe people don't even read them at all.
No, people go
And
on
maybe
people
we
go on
gotta
like
ask-
Facebook and they're like, what are the regulations? And everything's like,
Yeah.
admittedly, a lot of people in these Facebook groups are like, go read them for yourselves. And they're like, they're very confusing. You're
Yeah.
like, don't
So
trust
it's like,
what someone
maybe
else says on
that's-
the internet.
Maybe that's something to address, like
Yeah,
communication
it's a
being
huge.
a very wide thing, maybe
So
not
it's
everybody
a big
has...
barrier to entry,
Yeah, I think so. Like, we're like, why are you poaching here? It's like, well, I don't know. Maybe they didn't even know. Who
100%.
knows? Like, how can we
100%.
just better educate people on the fact that there even are regulations?
Yeah,
Well, I
like
think
I don't think you. Go on, sorry, buddy.
Sorry, no, I think it's like to Mitch's point. I think it's like so. I think a lot of people have this relationship with fishing from when they were kids, which is like you put a worm on a hook under a bobber or whatever. That's fishing. There's nothing wrong with learning to
Totally.
fish like that, but understanding that different rivers have different regulations. How do you find them out? Where do you go? What do you do? It's like I can't even remember how many times I've been asked by random people on the street, like, "Oh, is there fish here? What do I do? Can I bring my kids here?" And I'm like, "Well, you need to get a license. You got to do this. You got to do that." Right. So if there is an easy way to access this information, remove that barrier to entry. I know like they do like fish for free days on the Humber and like all this sort of stuff, but like, there needs to be more of a consistent effort.
I wonder if there isn't something we can do, like not so much like a, if you ever take your PAL or your hunter's exam, that's a pretty extensive course. But like when we do our Costa Pro thing, and we have to answer 6 very easy questions.
Yeah.
On the brand.
Yeah.
But it does make you at least
think a little.
A bit brand literate.
Yeah.
So like maybe it's like something when you go buy your license or you go buy it online, it's like, did you know that Ontario has zones?
Yeah.
Give us an example of a zone or something like that, It's like so that at least at a very base level, the basics.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Ontario's split up into zones. They don't all have the same fishing seasons. You need a license, yada yada yada. I don't know.
I think it does come back to maybe the third half point is like also incorporating more of the community in some of those decisions. Maybe like
for sure.
Because I feel like a lot of regulations were made one day and never changed.
100%. I agree with you.
I don't know. Like we sort of all just like, yeah, these came from science, maybe.
Well, that's it, right?
Maybe
it feels
valid
like
science,
I don't know.
Maybe valid science a while ago.
Sure.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, well, a great example of that is like if you look at the Ganaraska recently, the community pushed back on
right.
Some nefarious practices happening on the Ganaraska, and the zone changed its regulations based off of that. So there's an example where community input. I know a lot of people disagree with me that that it happened for the worse, but I think in terms of fish health, probably happened for the better.
Well, it's interesting either way that the community did something and something happened. That's cool to see.
There we go.
It is cool to see. So I guess to sum it up, one, re-examination of more of a science-based season for some of our fish.
Yeah.
2,
2 was like
access conservation system, which makes sense because if you go to Montana, places in Colorado or whatever, like there are very clear, like you said, Adis, there are very clear access points, even through private property, whether it be a boat ramp or a trail or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like, here's where you access the river. This is what you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
It's posted everywhere. Every fly shop has a map to these public fucking, access points.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like this crazy secret thing. There still probably are secrets in Montana and Colorado.
Sure, that's fine.
But on the main rivers,
yeah, they do a good job of that education and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And 3's kind of that as well.
Involve the community, I guess, and
both.
Yeah.
Rob also asked, "How is Mitchie so handsome?"
A Kit Kat a day, baby. A Kit Kat a day.
And he's still trying for that sponsorship.
Who's the better fisherman, Mitchie or Aldo? Aldo. Favorite podcast episode, most fun, most educational, surprising.
Wow, you really squashed that debate real quick.
I'm not a fighter, baby. Favorite podcast episode, most fun, most educational, surprising, interesting. I don't know. We get asked a lot what our favorite episode is.
I'll always go back to Mark Kingwell.
Yeah, I'd probably go back to.
It was surprising.
Mm-hmm.
You're a philosophy professor from University of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
It was surprising in the sense that he even wanted to come on.
No, exactly. I know he was the best. He was one of those guys.
It was just
always wanted to talk to.
Just a really lovely chat, and
oh, he's a legend.
I think that was like so educational and super interesting, and I really love that episode. That would be my answer.
Yeah, I loved getting to talk to Mark Kingwell. Monty Burke probably too, I would say, is up there. That was an awesome show. Lords of the Fly, talking about tarpon, homosassa. That was great. It was a great chat and a great book. But there's so many. I don't know. What do you think? What's your favorite podcast episode? It doesn't have to be
56.
the show.
What?
What's 56? Is that yours?
I don't know. I just guessed a number.
Oh.
They're all my favorite. Don't make me choose.
Nah, we won't.
Then we. What's the most unconventional fish you've all caught on the fly in Ontario?
Oh man, there's more. I missed this.
What? That's I don't know what that means. An unconventional fish.
I'll go with gar
fish
pike. I'll go with a gar.
in
Chub.
Ontario. Chub.
Like got a lot of chub.
Yeah, probably like a red horse or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
something where you're not expecting it. Actually, that's probably my answer when I was like a kid. I hit a sucker spawn and I didn't know what it was. I was like 12. I'm like, there's hundreds of fish. That was pretty wild. And that was the only time I really
Sick.
targeted suckers.
There you
I
go.
was catching
What
them
about
on the
that
fly.
turtle you caught that one time?
Oh, okay, that was in Indiana.
It's not a fish.
And then I want to assume that this is somebody you're related to, Mitch, but we gonna do a bass opener tourney on buckshot this year or what?
Is that Ken?
I don't
No,
know.
that could be.
That's Gagnon Building Solutions.
Oh, that's our buddy Justin who came
Oh
from.
shit, my bad. So, all right, Justin
we-
Gagnon. That was so dumb. I'm sorry, Justin.
We totally should.
We totally
because-
should. Let's go.
Yeah, fishing.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, because him and his buddy they fish buckshot. Remember, so we got to totally do that. That'd be sick. We definitely should. Let's go fishing on buckshot this year.
That'd be
100%.
so much fun. Okay, Justin. Yeah, we're down 100%.
Yeah.
If you submitted a question after 8:30 on May 13th, we didn't get to it. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But
for
you know what?
submitting those.
I will honor.
That's cool.
We will honor.
Yeah, we'll do it later. Do it on the next show.
The giveaway. If you submit a question, even though we didn't read it, you're entered into
You're entered in to win.
the random
Yeah.
draw for
There you
the
go.
hat. This hat right
Toast
here.
a hat. Yep. Sick.
Oh.
Boof.
Okay. We still have a couple segments left, so we'll power
All right,
through
let's
these
go.
ones because
Here we
we're
go.
getting to
Let's
the end
go.
of the show.
Let's
We
go.
don't want everybody to burn out. This is a good show to listen to, by the way, when you're driving on a long road trip.
There you go.
Maybe you're doing it right now, and we hope
Should have said that at
that's-
the beginning.
We hope that it's a good drive. Yeah.
You got Timmy's coming up of the next stop.
Timmy's coming
Don't
up.
forget
5
gas. You're gonna
kilometers
need
on your
gas.
right.
Check your tire
Don't forget
pressure.
to pee.
Get yourself an assortment pack of Timbits and maybe a Kit Kat.
Maybe your headlight burnt out. Check.
It's the Kit Kat. Just double the Kit Kat.
Fishing fantasy draft. Each host takes turns drafting their ideal 3-part fishing day. 1, your location.
That's so sick.
1, your celebrity guest.
All
1,
right.
your post-fish meal. That is so sick.
All right.
Celebrity guest or historic figure.
Figure.
Did you guys think about this one before?
No.
Really?
Well, you
Really?
did, so you go first.
Yeah. Nahani River, Hemingway, pizza, bourbon.
Well, that would be great.
Wow.
So you're dying on that river with him.
Yeah, that's
Like
fine.
he's gonna be like, let's
The
go over that
Nahani.
waterfall. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
I
hardcore
want to make a
river.
pit stop at the Circuit of the Unclimbables as well.
well, that with Hemingway.
Yeah.
And he's just like, come on, you got this one. And he's
Yeah.
drinking bourbon and eating pizza.
Hell yeah.
That is
Oh,
a good
I was gonna say,
fantasy
wow, are
draft.
we like? We're not. Well, I guess we're kind of.
All right, go.
Yeah.
Location: Key West in the 1970s. Celebrity guest:
Ooh.
Hemingway. Post fish meal and drink: a daiquiri, a Hemingway daiquiri, and a sloppy Joe.
That's pretty good. I
Because
like
the
that.
sloppy Joe was invented at Key West.
Boof. All right, Mitchie.
Just doubling
If you say
down on
Kit-
Hen-
if you say Kit
Hemingway.
Kats and
if you
Hemingway.
swear to- if you say the guy that invented the Kit Kat, we're drinking and we're eating Kit Kats.
Where's Kit Kat from? I'm looking up the closest river.
John
be
Kit
so
Kat.
Oh my
awesome.
god, the Kit Kat River?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I really didn't think about this one. I don't know. Like, honestly, probably what I would do is I would do.
Would Hemingway be
Um,
fun though?
I don't know.
He might not
Who?
be fun.
Oh, what about Yvonne Chenard?
Hemingway might not be fun.
He might not be fun to hang out with. Like,
I know that's what
imagine,
might be
going through my head.
maybe going fly fishing with Prince.
Ooh.
That's what I
Like
was
that
gonna
would be fucking sick. Like, okay, I'll go back to the 1970s.
with Prince in Key West.
Prince. Now Prince, I think, is probably. Well, we're both not alive in the 1970s.
It
So
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's,
Or, I mean,
this
at
isn't
least
real.
he's alive. Probably
It's
not that old.
imaginary.
Okay, Prince, 1970s, Key West, tarpon fishing. But I will still go with a Hemingway daiquiri and a sloppy Joe.
Yeah. I'd
That's
bring
a great
Yvonne
answer.
Chenard with me.
I served Prince a pizza once.
No.
I didn't say anything to him. I was a food runner. I brought him the pizza
Yeah.
at Toronto because he used
What
to
did
live in Toronto and he used
Oh,
to
yeah,
come
what
to
did he-
Toronto with like 15 supermodels every single time.
And just get
And, like,
pizzas for everyone.
And he was just yeah. Well, I mean that's what you order at Toronto.
Yeah, sure.
And
I like the Garganelli.
he's a cool dude. I was like, God, you're like the coolest dude ever.
That is cool. See,
Did
my
he
head
keep
was
his
going to
napkin?
musician. My head was going to musician as well, and I was
Yeah.
thinking Jimi Hendrix at one point. But now I'm thinking
Okay.
maybe like what I would do is like Robert Johnson, Crossroads, Delta blues guy, down in the South, like I don't know, maybe Louisiana or something, in like an old boat, just smoking cigarettes and like catching redfish or something.
Ooh,
like that would
that
be
suits you.
probably.
Are you
so
eating
fun.
the cigarettes?
We are eating Kit Kats.
Okay. All right. No, but like, what do you
What is the post meal? What is the post fish meal?
and drink? Yeah,
I would probably have to say cheeseburgers and just
we're all
Just
just banging
beer,
burgers.
just beer, just beer and
1,000
cheeseburgers. Yeah.
Oh, but in
beers.
Louisiana, oh God, I don't know.
I know, probably like something from down there. Like maybe some andouille sausage and
crawfish
maybe
bowl.
sausage.
like a big gumbo and a
Oh yeah,
just like
do
a
like a boil
jug
up.
of beer.
Fucking
Oh,
jug of
they're
beer and a
like,
boil
man,
up?
Louisiana. It's like
Come
where most
on.
cocktails were born.
It'd be so
Come
fun.
on.
That'd be so fun. And
Alright,
back
good-
then
good
too,
section.
like just
That's
like
good.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
hanging out, yeah.
I'm going time traveling. Like
Time
I'm not
travel.
trying
Hell
to
yeah.
fish now. You know what I'm saying?
And he's just playing guitar, and I'm just like, damn, this is.
like,
this
do
is
you
we are
do you wanna
not
cast
fishing
me?
barbless.
Not a fish.
We are not fishing
Not a
barbless.
fish.
Not fishing barbless.
not fishing barbless.
It is overrated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Ah,
Okay.
good one.
Well,
That was a good one.
that's a good
That's
one
a good
to
one. You know what?
think about.
Listeners love hearing how weird or specific we can get with this, and we should invite them.
Yeah. What
To-
would you? What would
to
your?
do their own
Yeah.
fantasy
You got
draft?
fishing
Le-
fantasy draft. It's
leave in
a
the
3-part
comments.
thing. You tell us in info@sofly.ca location, real or absurd,
Yep.
one celebrity guest or historic figure, and your post fish meal or drink.
Yeah,
I
we'll
say
make it
meal
happen.
and drink. I
Yeah.
like the meal and drink.
Meal and
Yeah,
drink. Yeah.
We'll make it happen for you guys.
Tell us what it is.
We'll make
That's
it-
cool.
You name it. One lucky
You want
winner.
to drink a cherry soda with
Who makes
Lefty
it happen?
Cray?
Done.
Done.
That'd be fun.
High tech.
That
I
actually.
mean,
would
there's
be
so
pretty
many
fun.
cool answers to that question. Okay.
Cherry
Wrap
soda.
it
I'd
on up
I'd
now.
rum and die with Colin McEwen
Oh, I'd
after
love to
Atlantic
go.
salmon fishing. Man,
I'd love that. That's a good
I would
answer
have loved
too.
that.
There's
I
too
would've
many good
loved that.
answers, man.
All right. was
Wrapping
fun.
it up now. That's the show in a nutshell. ChatGPT did a pretty good job
This was great.
creating.
I really enjoyed this.
We just shot the shit. We
Oh my
spitballed.
God!
We
One of
hope you
the
had fun.
bonus bits, Adis,
Yeah.
you kind of did. Are you ChatGPT?
What's the bonus bit?
Yeah, the
Well, there's
jig
the
is up.
first one was gear or gimmick,
Right.
which I guess would be
Oh.
the sinking line.
Nah, this would be gear you've seen online.
Okay, I kind of
Yo! Look at this one.
That was
They
a good
said.
one.
Oh my
Fish
God!
or
They said
fiction?
fact or fishy.
Fish or
Would you
fiction?
rather?
One of you tells a ridiculous fishing story. Others guess if it's real. That was Yilma's
Yo,
fact or
what?
fishy
That was
segment.
Yilma's whole personality.
Oh, I guess he
Hey,
got
guys,
absorbed
got
into
it.
the computer now.
Hey, Yilma, is this you? Are you with the computer?
I like the Would You Rather fish
Yilma.
edition. That's a good one. Oh
Fish
well.
a stocked. Oh my God! This is such a good one. Would you rather fish a stocked pond with no rules or do 12 hours in a canoe during a thunderstorm?
Fish a stock. Why? That's a no.
That's
Fish a stock.
terrible.
Those are
Oh yeah,
two-
I can't wait to do 12 hours in a thunderstorm.
12 hours in a canoe. What?
12
Why are
hours
you in
in
that
a
canoe for
thunderstorm.
12 hours? Get out.
Good
It's a
lord.
thunderstorm.
started
Get out
off-
of there.
I really should have read ahead. That started off really, really good.
Like, I
and
would
not
rather
so-
fish the
I
stock
don't-
pond
there's
with
there's no
rules.
situation where I'd want 12 hours in a canoe.
What does the no rules part have to do with anything?
There's no rules. It's
Well, most stock
self-explanatory.
ponds, as far as I'm concerned, don't have rules.
Oh, what would the rule be? So, anyways, ChatGPT, I think
Yeah,
did
good
a
job,
pretty
Should we
good
try the
job.
gear gimmick one? Gear gimmick, rapid fire
then we gotta-
evaluation
we
of
gotta
trendy
Google
gear
stuff.
you've seen online. Trendy gear I've seen online.
Well,
We're
I
gonna
mean,
start. It's gonna take a lot of googling.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well,
gear
can you
gimmick.
think of anything?
Well, shark skin line was one that was pretty gimmicky. I mean, everybody was just like cutting their hands on it, trying to strip
Yeah,
it
that's
in.
Shark
true.
skin sharp.
And I love, hey, I give it to these fly companies. They're trying to like crack new ways to, get their products out there and come up with cool ideas. But shark skin, I don't know. Maybe it led to something cool,
Yeah.
But
I feel like
it felt
this
pretty
is-
gimmicky at the time. That was
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'll say tippet rings. Like
Yeah.
if you're not gonna, it's a bit of a gimmick. Like in terms of, Ada's already mentioned Swivels are I think, much
I
better tool
agree.
for this
Yeah,
for the same thing. Your line won't get twisted.
Just smaller.
They're also smaller, more nimble. Also, if you just learn how to tie a fucking knot.
Yeah, can't
That's
tie
right.
knots, tie lots, baby.
But if you're not going to do that, or if you do think there's a better, because I will agree, it is annoying constantly snagging, breaking off, and having to retie stuff. So, but I think a tippet ring is better than a
swiv.
I think a swivel is better than
Other way
a
around,
a
is what you're
ring,
saying.
Yeah.
I
Gear
don't
gimmick. I
know.
like this gear gimmick thing. It's kind of fun.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
I feel
so
like
many
this could be a
able,
good section, but we got to
This could
find
be a
some
good
weird
nippers.
stuff.
It's fucking
able nippers are a bit gimmicky, but they're pretty sick. I love them, but geez, you don't need them.
But geez, I do love mine though.
I love mine, but you know what work almost as well? Well, I mean, in cost comparison, pair of nail trimmers, and they're about $2. But I do love mine. I mean, there's so many things to that. So I think
leader straighteners.
Oh yeah, that's
I think we got to keep some of these for later.
yeah.
because
Let's do
lots
that.
in here
Let's
still
keep them for
that are
later.
still
Keep them
really
for
good.
later, boys.
I like this gear gimmick is a good segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep that. Put that in the back
Let's
pocket.
put that in a pot. Thank you,
All right.
ChatGPT.
Here we go.
Would you rather fish edition's also good? ChatGPT did a good job. This is a
Thank
fly
you.
fishing podcast
Thank you.
episode designed by artificial intelligence.
Thank you
And that's
so
going to be
much.
the title. Maybe it'll get a lot of clicks.
Thank you, robot overlords.
It's just
Well,
gonna
do
be
you
bots.
want to do
It's
the
gonna be
last segment here?
It's
Do
just
it.
going to be other bots listening
it up.
to it. Yeah, what's the last segment?
The wrap up.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Quick recap or call back to the funniest moments, heated debates.
Kit
Or
Kats.
funniest or most heated moments. That was so funny when we got heated. That was wild.
Tease the next guest or location if you know it.
Well, we don't.
Well,
do
we got Joven coming on the show, and we got
Joven.
and we got
Joven.
Colby,
I love
and we
Joven.
got Colby Acuff.
There you go.
Yeah, we have Colby Acuff coming up.
That's
too.
pretty cool.
It is cool.
So we already did
remember-
the
I
next
can't-
one.
We're
I can't remember when's what because my brain's starting to get fried.
Yeah.
starting.
Oh gosh.
Gentle roasting.
Gentle
Gentle roasting. We need to remind them to rate, review, follow, share, and sign off with a good tight lines type
closer.
Closer.
All right, tight lines, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
SoFly.ca.
SoFly.ca /
Or we're at the SoFly podcast.
GPT.
Don't forget, you can rate us on rate us on iTunes and Spotify, and do the little like thing
Just
on
follow
YouTube
and
and
share.
comment. Make sure you comment too.
Tight lines.
Tight lines, everybody.
Tight lines, everyone.
And tighter lines to those who
The
care.
line makers.
That's it for me, Mitch. Aldo.
Tight lines.
Tight lines, guys. Love you all.
Take care, and
All right.
Tight
Tight lines.
tight lines.